Hello, I'm Pete Adrian and I work for the Solid Waste Agency of Lake County, Illinois, or SWALCO. In my position as recycling coordinator, I've had the opportunity to learn about the principles of full cost accounting and how it can be applied in the field of solid waste management or resource management. Before we begin, I would like to provide you with an overview of what I will be covering. As a first step, I will explain the objectives and benefits of using full cost accounting, which is sometimes also called true cost accounting. Next, I will review how full cost accounting is derived from basic cost accounting principles, which are highly beneficial to those who are working in the solid waste management field. So why should it be used? I'll provide you with some key reasons. Last, I'll talk about some additional concepts that are difficult to quantify, but can be better reasoned by applying full cost accounting to them. And finally, I will list some additional resources that you can explore on your own to learn and practice full cost accounting. For the purpose of providing a concise explanation of the principles of full cost accounting, I'll be referring to its application in managing a municipal solid waste collection, recycling, and disposal operation. Though the application may not be applicable to all municipalities, it should serve in providing an understanding of the benefits full cost accounting has to offer. So let's get started. Full cost accounting is defined as a systematic approach for identifying, summing, and reporting the costs incurred to provide a service. In addition to the obvious and direct costs, full cost accounting aims to include hidden as well as overhead costs. Since costs are usually considered in terms of environmental, economic, and social impacts, full or true cost efforts are collectively called the three pillars approach, or the triple bottom line. Utilizing full cost accounting can have many benefits. It leads to more efficient management of costs and resources and can help provide clarity in the sometimes stormy political environment that solid waste management programs can get caught in. While there are no guarantees that a community managing its own solid waste collection, recycling, and disposal operation will reduce overall costs, utilizing full cost accounting can provide useful information to solid waste managers and their communities to support sound management and planning. It can help determine the effectiveness of a particular solid waste management system, and it can help clarify that you cannot label one particular community system as better or worse just because one community has a higher cost than another. So what is full cost accounting? Well, it's really just the application of basic cost accounting principles that can be highly beneficial to you as a solid waste manager. Full cost accounting provides you with a valuable tool for understanding and reporting your community's solid waste management costs. For a variety of reasons, most communities and their citizens do not know the real cost of managing solid waste, making it more difficult to reach good decisions about solid waste management options. Full cost accounting is not the same as cash flow or general fund accounting, which is the most common method of government accounting used today. In this system, outlays are recorded when cash is actually paid out for goods and services. However, for activities such as solid waste management, which often are funded through user fees based on cost, cash flow accounting gives a distorted picture of actual costs. As you may know, not all solid waste management costs result from current outlays of funds. Past and future capital outlays also contribute significantly to the overall cost of managing solid waste in your community. Cash flow accounting systems do not include upfront or back-end costs, such as those for land acquisition and long-term care. Those systems also do not take into account hidden costs, such as those resources donated that do not result in cash outlays. All governments can implement full cost accounting, regardless of how they structure their programs to keep their books. Full cost accounting uses generally accepted accounting principles to qualify all direct and indirect costs, as well as hidden costs. Even when efforts are made to identify the costs of managing solid waste, it is easy to overlook costs that are lumped into overhead or indirect accounts and should be recognized as direct costs. Some costs that are often not included in establishing a rate structure for solid waste fees are land acquisition costs, planning and permitting expenses, costs of closure, and long-term care, the cost of supporting services provided by other local government departments, costs of negotiating and administering contracts, and an array of social and environmental costs that can be difficult to quantify. Full cost accounting also allows you to spread, via depreciation or amortization, significant capital outlays over the active life of a facility or program. It is important to recoup those costs from fees while the facility is operating or during the term of a contract. So why use full cost accounting? For starters, it's helpful in determining what things really cost. By integrating full cost accounting into your operation, you create something of a self-defense. Garbage, as you are probably aware, can be a highly political issue. Most state and local officials can attest to the intense citizen interest in municipal solid waste management. Full cost accounting can help make your case to the citizens and elected officials by providing you with sound, objective financial data to back up your decisions and recommendations. In addition to these cornerstone concepts, full cost accounting can identify and accommodate peaks and valleys you encounter in cash expenditures. It can help with explaining costs to citizens more clearly. It provides a more business-like approach to managing solid waste. It can help you in negotiations with vendors. It helps determine the best mix of solid waste and recycling services. It allows you to compare your costs with those of other communities. It helps you to fine-tune your programs to increase cost effectiveness. And it can justify user fees and charges so to assure that all the costs to manage solid waste are recovered. It's difficult to quantify environmental and social costs. Currently, there is no widely accepted methodology for calculating those costs. However, full cost accounting can sometimes help relieve these through the documentation of their costs. Environmental costs include the costs of resources used, pollution created, and waste generated in providing solid waste management services. Upstream and downstream environmental effects are commonly termed externalities by economists. For example, the manufacture and transport of solid waste management equipment and vehicles can entail upstream environmental effects before such equipment is used, such as depletion of non-renewable mineral resources, air and water pollution, and generation of waste. Social costs include the adverse effects of solid waste management operations on people, their property, and their welfare that cannot be compensated through the legal system. For example, limitations of future land use, noise, odor, and traffic. Further environmental justice issues can arise if such burdens fall disproportionately on certain social groups. I would like to provide you with some additional resources that you might like to seek out to further your learning related to full cost accounting. The first is the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, who has provided extensive support to municipalities throughout the state to implement the 1989 state law which mandates that local governments report to the state and citizens the full cost of solid waste management operations. I'd also like to acknowledge that the considerable amount of the content of my presentation was derived from resources they developed to educate the communities in the state. Next is the US EPA, that is probably the most exhaustive catalog of resources related to the topic of full cost accounting. Last is a document that was developed by the United Nations to help explore how a set of statistical accounts can be compiled which will permit investigation of analysis of the interaction between the economy and the environment. The topic is wide and the handbook is extensive. So with that said, I hope that you found this overview of the topic of full cost accounting to be helpful. I wish you all the best. Goodbye.